Welcome to Brush and Banter, the podcast where creativity meets real-life hustle.
Brought to you by Zibra, we go beyond perfect brushstrokes to explore the messy, magical, and meaningful side of being an artist.
I'm Bree Hansen, crafter at heart, creative cheerleader, and president of Zibra.
I'm Annie Bolding, muralist, designer, lover of all things that sparkle, and founder of It's a Disco Day Designs.
And I'm Lauren Cooper, muralist, designer, creative mama, and founder of Rosemont Lane Design Studio.
We're here to bring you conversations with working artists,
practical tips to grow your creative business,
and a built-in painting companion for your next project.
So grab your favorite Zebra brush,
pop in your headphones,
and let the banter begin.
Hey friends, and welcome back to Brush and Banter. I'm Lauren, and I'm here with my co-host Bree.
Hi everyone. Today's episode is a big one, especially for our creators, painters, DIYers, and small business dreamers out there. If you have ever had an idea in the middle of a messy project and thought, someone should invent this, well, someone did.
We are so excited to welcome Billie, the founder of RePaint Studios and the creator of the RePaint Tray, the paint tray that's been blowing up on social media, selling out constantly, and most recently making waves on Shark Tank.
Not just making waves, getting picked up by Joanna and Barbara Corcoran. Casual, no big deal. We are all screaming. Billie took something every painter struggles with, drip spills, cleanups, the logistics, and built a solution that's smart, simple, and honestly, really genius.
Today, we are going to be diving into it all, the original idea, the prototypes, the chaos of pitching your product on national TV, what happens after Shark Tank, what's next for RePaint Studios, and the reality of running a product-based business when you have a creative business and you're doing it from the ground up.
Billie, welcome. We are so excited to have you on.
I'm so excited to be here.
Let's start off with, for anyone new that's just discovering your product or your business, can you give us a quick snapshot of who you are, what RePaint Studios is, and what your business looks like right now?
Okay, so I'm Billie Asmus. My company is RePaint Studios, and I created this thing called the RePaint Tray. A long time ago, I was a furniture flipper, furniture restorative person, whatever you want to call it. And I got sick of going through the plastic paint tray liners, trying to save my paint with a plastic bag or foil or saran wrap. I'm sure everybody's familiar with that. And I searched high and low for a reusable paint tray, something with a lid to save my paint for extended periods, and nothing showed up. So I just decided to create my own, and sure enough, it turned into this product that is now sold in, most major hardware stores, and then it landed on Shark Tank. And since then, it's just exploded, and we've moved into our own warehouse. I've been able to hire employees. I mean, it's grown a lot faster than I anticipated, and it's barely been a year.
That's crazy. And I feel like that's when you really know that you've truly solved a problem out there, when your product just blows up just like that out of the gate. That's awesome, because not a lot of people can say that. That's so cool. Congrats.
Yeah, it is amazing and so inspiring. And the relatable portion of it is that, especially as creatives, like, we're constantly problem solving. But what I'm curious about is, like, you had an opportunity to problem solve for yourself. What was the shift? Can you take us back to that moment where you were like, and also other people need this? Like, because that's a whole shift in your business and like going product. Take us back to that moment.
Yeah. So, I mean, growing up, I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. I knew I was going to have a business. My parents are entrepreneurs. I only worked for family businesses. I've worked in corporate America for like 8 months, and I was like, that's enough. And so, it's just always, I think, been ingrained in me. And so when I had the idea for the RePaint Tray, it was not even 3 weeks later that I was already doing prototyping in my basement, and trying to figure out how I can make it work. And I did one rough prototype. It cost me $50 to make it, and it worked. And that was enough for me that I thought, okay, if I have this frustration, then there's got to be other people out there that also have this frustration. So I actually went back to school for a semester because last thing I wanted to do was, create this product and nobody was going to buy it. And so I just got an overwhelming response from people saying, yeah, this is a frustration of mine. I hate trying to use foil or plastic bags or whatever it is. And I do worry about my environmental impact. And that was enough for me. So I had my answer there. And then I just, started to dive in to figure out, okay, how can I manufacture this? Who's going to support it? How much is it going to cost? And everything that goes into creating a product.
Well, that is so impressive that you just could hit the ground running like that, because I feel like that's a lot of overwhelming steps, especially to do as quickly as you did them. How did you know how to create a prototype? How did you know where to look for to manufacture it? I mean, I feel like that's where a lot of people would be like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to begin.
I think that is honestly the most intimidating part for a lot of people when they do have an idea, is they think, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to begin. And the easiest step is actually in the beginning. And all it is a Google search, really, is what it starts as, is because people, I think, automatically assume that they need to figure out all these massive steps right here and now, when you really just have to take it one step at a time. But for the manufacturing side, I mean, it took me an entire year to find somebody.
Oh, yes.
And, to see who's going to want to support this, how much is it going to cost. And most manufacturers wouldn't even give me the time of day, because I wasn't a launch product. I wasn't an established brand. So nobody wants to make this product and it's, a one and done type order, and then they don't get any reorders. That's not a good use of their time or resources.
Right.
So it wasn't until a year later that I was able to finally find a manufacturer that would support this. But as far as the prototyping goes, I was really scrappy with it. I literally went to the dollar store and I bought foam board that kids use for science projects. And I hot glued some leftover plastic paint tray liners that I had upside down. And I ordered raw silicone from a Hollywood prop shop. And then I basically mixed the two together and I poured my very first mold, and I had my first repaint tray within an hour of it curing.
And I think that's the one thing that people don't realize is how complicated the manufacturing process is, and just getting into all the details and the pricing, and even just things like freight costs that eat into your margins and your costs. So there's so many little things that go into it. So, I mean, honestly, that's impressive. You were able to do it in a year. That's great.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, a product-based business for a lot of us artists, I feel like feels so opposite of what like we're used to. If like anyone has an idea out there, what is something that you would like encourage them to tell themselves? It sounds like you were really steadfast and like had a lot of confidence and belief in yourself, but I'm sure that you had something along the way where like there was someone or something saying this isn't right, or no, or don't keep pushing. How did you quiet that voice, or did you not experience that?
I think anybody experiences that regardless of the type of business or product that you're in. The interesting thing is, when I had the idea, I didn't tell anybody for an entire year. I think family and our closest friends, they mean well. They want to protect us. They love us. But also, they're the ones that see these types of things as major risk. So they're going to be the ones to stop you right away. So that's why I didn't tell anybody except, my husband and of course the school that I was going to before I even told my family. And the only reason I announced that I was working on this was because the school that I was going to, they had a pitch competition at the end of the semester. And if you won anything in the pitch competition, they would announce it on social media and in the news. I ended up winning some money from it. I was honorable mention, but they were going to go announce it. And I remember thinking, well, I want to be the first one to announce what I'm working on. And so I went on Facebook Live and Instagram Live, and I did an announcement about my paint tray and just said, this is what I'm working on. No idea if it's going to work or not, but here we go. And it was then that I was immediately getting phone calls from my parents and my friends like, for real? Like, are you actually going to do this? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. And I think I just had this overwhelming belief in myself because of those interviews and the people that I talked to. And once I did announce it on social media, I had a lot of people reach out saying, oh my gosh, where was this 20 years ago? I wanted this so bad. So it just made the decision so much easier.
That is so cool. So what was it like when you finally told your family?
They were hesitant. They were also not surprised because as a kid, I was always thinking of random ideas. Like I tried to invent a fishing lure and for my dad, and it never worked out, obviously. So I don't think they were super surprised, but you could tell that there were some reservations for sure. My mom did a very good job of holding back, I think, from what she really wanted to say at times. But yeah, now, of course, they're very, very supportive.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure she is so proud now. But it sounds like it's always been in your blood.
Yeah, definitely.
From the idea to getting the product, was there any part of that process that surprised you the most?
Probably just the cost of it. The cost of manufacturing is so expensive, and especially for certain types of products or materials that you're using. So, for example, when I created the paint tray, the standard metal tray on the market today is made from aluminum. It's very flimsy, it's thin, it's lightweight. And for retailers and manufacturers, that can be a positive because it's lightweight, it's easy and affordable to ship. But for the consumer, it might be annoying because it slides on the floor, your paint liner doesn't stay secure. So I wanted to change that, and I decided to create my tray out of steel, which steel is expensive and it's really heavy. But that is one of the number one sellers of our paint tray is because of how heavy duty it is it's not going to slide on the floor, and you could run it over with a freight truck, and it's going to be durable and last the test of time. You have to weigh the pros and cons in manufacturing. And I think that part was just really surprising to me. And there's also this massive misconception that people think, oh, if you have an idea for your product, you can just make it. You have to get the tooling, you have to manufacture the molds in order to actually make the product. And that takes time and money. So when I was all said and done before actually launching the product into the market, I mean, I was at least 100 grand in before I was even pulling any sales. And that's the scariest part, I would say.
And I definitely understand all of that so well. I feel that. It sounds like maybe the heavy duty nature was one of the items that you wanted to make sure the tray had, but what was another challenge that you were most determined to have when you started designing this product?
One of the issues and challenging parts was the silicone itself. So if anybody has painted around a shower or a bathtub, and there's the silicone caulk or a window, that's how I knew that, okay, silicone is going to be my best base material for this because I knew that paint would not adhere to it. So I thought, well, why can't I paint with it? And then once it's dry, I can just peel it out. But the challenging part was figuring out the thickness of the silicone and figuring out, okay, how thick can it be so that way it's durable and it's going to last without it potentially tearing. There's also a difference in just the types of silicone you can use as well. So some of them might have more of like a glossy finish, some might have more of a matte finish. And so it was even just testing some of that to see what was going to work the best. And I had already had some pre-orders, so I was like, we got to roll this thing out because I got to get these to people. Pretty soon they're going to start getting really pissed at me for not having a paint.
Sometimes that's so stressful when you have pre-orders or like people waiting or like, okay, I'm launching it on this date and you don't necessarily have the product ready to go. We've been guilty of that multiple times. But honestly, it's the best way to get it out. And like, you just got to do it. You got to figure it out. And like, you got to be scrappy and you got to do it. My sister, she hates when I give her a deadline because most of the time I'm like, oh, I already sold this to Lowe's. You got to figure this out. But that's cool. So how many prototypes did you actually go through? How many rounds with the factory? It sounds like not very many.
I did one prototype with the factory.
Oh, wow. That's really good too. And they got it right.
Yeah. And I actually, because I did all the prototyping myself. So I did my very first prototype, and then I worked with the community college to get a larger 3D printed mold. So that way I could do my first injection mold. I literally took a leftover syringe from like my kid's Tylenol bottle to be able to do an injection mold with the raw silicone.
That's creative. Yes.
But it worked. Obviously I didn't give it back to them. I tossed that after that. But yeah. And then we got one prototype with the manufacturer, and then we had our first pre-production sample to see what it was going to look like. And from there we were ready to roll.
Wow. That's awesome.
Alrighty, you know what time it is. It's time for Don't Cry Over Spilled Paint, our favorite part of the show where we all admit that we've done some wildly questionable things in the name of painting and all things DIY, because behind every finished project, there's always a little mess that we prayed nobody would ever see. Today's submission is actually from our one and only Lauren. Please tell us a little bit about a moment where you did not cry over spilled paint, or maybe you did.
So I actually didn't, and I don't know how I kept it together, but I was packing up my biggest order to date, which was not on a wall. It was something that hopefully I can share soon, but was for the biggest client I've ever worked for, and it was 1 hour before the truck was coming to pick it up. I thought, who doesn't need a little bit of touch-ups in the last hour? That's always where you go wrong, is the touch-up phase. Anyways, it wasn't my fault. The wind picked up an entire gallon of green paint and sprayed it all across 3 sections of 2 murals, and I had to rush to then repaint the whole thing. Luckily, just in case paint sprays or spills over an area, just so you know, you can like push it off with paper towels usually. Luckily, it like didn't stain the whole thing. So anyways, I'm just really proud of myself for not crying over spilled paint, but it is that reminder that when you're painting out in the elements to consider wind as a factor. And I should have learned a lesson, because that actually wasn't the first time that wind completely spilled an entire gallon of paint in or around my projects. So
That's tragic, but it happens to the best of us. Also, wind is my least favorite of the elements, so
painting in wind is a no.
Is a no-go. But make sure that you guys are sending in your funny fails, flops. We want to hear about them in the DMs, so keep sending them our way, and then they'll end up on the pod, either anonymously or we can fully name names. We love that too. So make sure you keep sending them in.
Thanks, guys. From a design standpoint, I'm curious if you can share where the lime green came from, and also the X's that are a part of the design of the tray.
My background and degree is marketing and advertising, and initially I was going to have the product be red.
I saw that in like the
Because-
little molds, I think, in your story
Yes.
about it. Yeah.
Because I remember from one of my marketing and advertising classes that red can mean a sense of urgency when it comes to buying. So if you think about Target, for example, you know, they're red and it can create a sense of urgency. But I walked up and down the paint aisle, and all the other paint products that I saw, especially in the paint trays, was red, blue, black. You know, there was nothing that really stood out on the shelf to me. And one, my favorite color is green, but 2, we're an eco-friendly type product that it's something you can reuse, and you're reducing the amount of plastic that we're using. And so I wanted to kind of play into that, but also how can I stand out on the shelf that when you're walking down the paint aisle, that it's going to make you want to back up, because you're like, why is there this lime green paint tray just staring at my face? And so those were kind of the key factors on why I decided to make it green. And then with the X's, that was honestly just kind of a random fluke. I just remember thinking, okay, there's the bubble designs for the treads on current paint trays, or the herringbone type style. How can I make it different? What can I do to just, you know, make it stand out a little bit more? And so I just picked the X design and rolled with it. But the interesting thing is, now that I've been using my product more and more, there's definitely things I'm like, okay, I want to change this. This is, you know, sometimes the crisscross can make it a little bit difficult to clean in between. And so now I'm like going through a whole nother, you know, redesign, and how can I make it better and more efficient for people now that I've been able to get their feedback.
Okay, well, we have to shift gears and talk about Shark Tank. Obviously, that's such a huge deal. So how did that journey begin? Did you apply? Walk us through the initial phases of that.
Well, see, earlier this year, you know, we were looking at kind of growing and expanding, and funding is always the toughest part, I think, of an ever-growing company or startup. So I remember thinking, I'm just going to look up and see if there's an open casting call for Shark Tank. And sure enough, there was one left, and it was in Kansas City. And so that's about a 4.5 hour drive from where I'm at in Iowa. And it was like that coming weekend. So I literally had like 4 days to prepare for this open casting call. And I looked at my husband, and I'm like, we've got nothing on the calendar. Worst case scenario, I'm driving 4 hours one way for a 1-minute pitch and nothing happens. I don't think I slept at all the night before because I had to practice my pitch because you have 1
I
minute
mean,
to,
yeah, who could sleep? Right.
Right. I recorded a video the next day and you could see the bags under my eyes. And I walked in, I mean, you have to line up for, over an hour just to get a chance. And then you get a wristband, you got to come back. And it's this whole thing. It's a whole day just for 1 minute. And I remember walking into this pitch and I'm pulling out my paint tray, about to start my pitch. And the casting producer looks at me and he's like, hold on a second. I know you. I'm like, great. Hopefully that's good news. Like,
How?
where do you know me from? It was just such an interesting thing. And he's like, oh, you don't have to pitch me. I know your product. And I'm like, awesome. Okay. So now what do I say? Because I've been up all night practicing this.
Right.
So I gave him the whole shebang. And then he just wrote this big giant yes at the top of my application. And he looked at me and he's like, I can't make guarantees, but I'm going to get you on the show. And internally I was screaming. And I was like, awesome. Okay, great. And I'm packing up and I was like, wait, do you want to peel the paint from my tray? And he's like, yes, I do. And he's like, oh, this is the most satisfying thing on the planet. And he's like, I'm definitely going to try and get you on the show.
Oh my gosh. Yes. That's the emotional hook you needed.
Oh, I know. And it was not even a week later that he called me with the official news that I was going to move forward and be on the show.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That is so exciting. Wow, what a whirlwind. And that all happened in the matter of a few days.
Yeah, and so when I had applied at the open casting calls, it was actually for season 18. I did not know at that point that Chip and Joanna Gaines were going to be the guest sharks. And so he's basically like, hey, we're actually going to try and get you in on season 17. Can you, get all this stuff done and back to me, rather quickly to see if we can decide to move you forward? I'm like, yeah, okay, all right. So I gave him everything that I needed to. And it was not even a month later. It was, that application was end of May, end of June, I was flying out to California to film.
Wow, that is so fast.
Yeah. And then I mean, they basically said, your episode could air anywhere from end of September to May. I was like, all right, that's a big window. And we don't find out if it airs until I think it's like 3 weeks before it actually airs. So then they allow you the time to start talking about it. And then you can actually say on social media, hey, we're going to be on Shark Tank. And so when they had contacted me and it was early October that we were going to air, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready for this. Like, I hopefully I have enough inventory, all the things that we had to prepare for. So
when you're there in California, take us to that moment. Like, you're walking through the doors that like we see, like the tunnel and the doors. Like, how are you? Are you feeling calm? Are you feeling nervous? Like, you have your paint tray in your hand. Like, take us to that moment.
I was sweating profusely. I was incredibly nervous. It's interesting being on set because it is and it isn't what you see on TV. So those first doors, they're closed and then they start counting down from 7 and it's absurdly fast. It's not normal seconds at all. And then the doors fly open. There's a camera that's like right in front of your face and you got to do your walk and they give you your march and the stopping mark and where you need to stop. And then you just have to sit there for like 2 minutes in complete silence. And you're just staring at all the sharks like, hello, yes, this is me. And Mr. Wonderful or Kevin O'Leary is like right in front of you. So you're just staring at his bald head for 2 minutes, basically.
Do they at least play the music for you? So you're like getting, like, so you're like there? Because I can hear it.
Right? I know. I was hoping, and no, they don't. It's complete silence. So you just have to stand there because they have to make sure, the sound and the video, everything is correct. And then you just hear over the system that they just say, begin. And then that's when you start your pitch. So what do I want to say? How am I going to get this out? How do I want to be perceived? And I also had to remind myself that however they edit it, people will always have an opinion on my product, on who I am as a person. And so I just needed to be okay with how that was going to come out. But yeah, I'm happy with it, I guess.
No, you did awesome. And I think when they were giving you all the offers and then you had Barbara's and you really wanted Chip and Joanna, and then they were like, I don't know, hemming and hawing. And it was like, I don't know that I would have at that point, I think I would have been so nervous that I would have just been like, okay, whatever, I'll just take Barbara's offer. But you like stuck to your gun. You knew you wanted Chip and Jo, and you gave them that one last like plea, and then it worked. Like that was amazing. How did you feel in that moment? Like, how did you muster up all of that to be able to be like, okay, I gotta say this one last thing. I have to get them on board.
The casting producers basically had said, you don't have to leave the tank. Basically, only leave if they decide to kick you out. But there is no reason for you needing to leave. So you can stay and fight if you want to, because they said they've seen a lot of entrepreneurs go in there, and if they don't get a deal, they leave. And they're like, you can stay and keep fighting if you want to. And I'm like, all right. And so I remember thinking, like, I'm going to walk into this place and I'm not going to leave until I have a deal, even if I have to sit on the floor and wait it out. I don't know. And so that was kind of my mentality of just fighting for it, because I've done a lot of pitch competitions in the past, which have really helped me to this point. And there were many times that I did not get the money, or I did not get the prize that I was hoping for in those pitch competitions. And I would always ask for feedback. Why did you not choose me? What about my pitch or the company did you not like or didn't see? And they always said that I wasn't fighting hard enough, or I would downplay some of the success or the things that I had. And so I just really kind of held on to that when I went into the tank, and thinking, okay, I'm not going to back down. Like, I'm really going to fight for this. It was like a heartbreaking moment for me that I was feeling rejected by them. And and it wasn't fully shown, the full dialogue on the show, because I was in the tank for about an hour. But
wow,
yeah, it
really?
was in there oh yeah, you're in there for a long time. There was a lot of things I had talked about with them and with Barbara that is definitely missed from what was actually aired. So I had initially just said, like, even if you don't financially invest in my company, that's okay. I'm okay with you not even putting in a single dollar, but I look to you as advisors and people that I've looked up to over the years, even though you've never even known it. So I would love to just have you as advisors or people that could help me in this industry, especially because they know my market. So that was something that was kind of missed a little bit after it aired, but that was what I was initially hoping for after the fact.
Well, you got it. You did it. I cannot believe you're in there for an hour. That is shocking.
That's a long time to be like staying.
I mean,
true
my
to
whole shirt would be full of
know.
sweat from my arms. I would I would be covered in sweat.
Yeah,
like staying
yeah,
in that
it's
zone.
scary.
Like, your demeanor is so inspiring. Part of me feels like you were born to do this, and like, that about yourself. Like you said, you're meant to be an entrepreneur. And part of me feels like, I wonder if you are experiencing this outer body experience where you're like, I'm just walking this path that like was always meant for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, it's weird. There's definitely times, like even just this morning on my drive into work, I'm like, I am ready to put in my application to some other company because this sucks. There's so many things that are so challenging, and you're like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to have to open another piece of mail. That's just another bill. It's all these things behind the scenes that can be very overwhelming as business owners, and especially starting from scratch. And then there's other times that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm living the dream. This is exactly what I wanted for my life. I feel like I have a purpose, that I'm helping people, that, I've got an amazing team, all these types of things. But, in Shark Tank in specific, it was definitely an out of body experience. Oh my gosh, there was definitely times that I blacked out. Like when it aired and Mr. Wonderful said he was out, I don't remember that. I don't remember him saying that he was out. I don't even remember Chip saying that he was out. I just literally was like, I'm going to keep fighting for it.
You were laser focused.
I was very laser focused.
Well, I definitely feel what you were saying about all the behind the scenes. There's so many. I also worked at a corporate company before this, and working in a small business, especially one that you have stake in and you started, there's really high highs and really low lows, and those lows they hit you harder than a bad day at a corporate job, because you can go home and it's not really attached to you. So I definitely feel that too. What does a normal day look for you right now? As the person that's running RePaint Studios, what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
It's a little bit of everything because we're still that startup phase, you know. So we're very scrappy. There's 4 people on the team, including myself. So usually on high order days, I'm in the warehouse packing orders. So usually Mondays, I'm over at the warehouse packing boxes, shipping things out. I was just over there this morning. And then we're also working on opening a retail front. So then I paused and started talking with the architect on the design and, okay, we want to take out this wall and we want to do this for flooring and this is what the ceiling's going to look like. And then I'm over here, you know, come back, do a podcast interview. It's literally everything. And then, you know, now right after this, I'm going into a manufacturing meeting and then a funding meeting. And I feel like in the startup space, you just have to be flexible. I'm doing a little bit of everything, anywhere from giving a keynote speech to, you know, opening mail and paying the bill. So
Quick break to tell you about something we are so excited to finally share with you because Zibra has a brand new brush launching.
Yes, say hello to the Edger series. This is the brush painters have been begging for, and honestly, we're wondering how we've lived without it.
If you've painted anything, walls, trim, murals, you know edging is the part that can either make you feel like a pro or make you want to scream.
And Zibra gets that. They've always built tools that solve real-world painting problems, and the Edger series is just the next evolution of that. Precision, comfort, control, and a whole lot less tape.
It's designed to help you get crisp, clean lines with fewer touch-ups and way less frustration, a huge time saver. Whether you're cutting in a room, working around trim, or refining a mural edge, this brush just gets it right.
So if you want to be one of the first to try the Edger, head to enjoyzebra.com, and because you're part of our podcast family, you can use code BANTER10 for 10% off your order.
Edge smarter, paint smoother, your future self will thank you.
Can you share where your retail store is going to be? That's exciting.
yeah, it's so we're in Iowa Falls, Iowa. And so initially we opened up the place because there's a huge warehouse in the back. And part of it is supposed to be a retail front. So we were thinking, oh my gosh, well, we're in this very rural area of Iowa. There's literally like nowhere to buy decent paint or paint supplies. You have to drive like an hour away to get good supplies. And so I'm like, all right, well, if we have this warehouse, then we might as well open up a retail front. And it was a super last minute decision, but rural, middle of nowhere.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
And we are going to have Zibra brushes.
You are?
Yeah, you guys approved me for
Oh, that's
for
so
wholesale.
exciting. Yay.
Off the cuff, I wanted to just say I'm really inspired by your social media presence. I love some of the things that you're doing, and there's a lot of like quirk and fun that I could tell you're bringing to the office. Like those, the Pinterest idea you had, and then putting the food over the rollers was cracking me up. Do you feel like having that spirit is just a part of you and your business now, and like helps connect you to the right audience? Like talk a little bit more about that, because I just feel like it's so ingrained in your branding.
A little bit of both, where that it's just definitely who I am, is just being quirky and fun and having, you know, weird design. I mean, case in point with like my background and our gallery wall. I just love the color. My house is pretty boring. Like it's a lot of grays and beige. So when I moved into an office and a warehouse, I'm like, this is my chance to do something, you know, crazy and wild and fun. And I think that just naturally flows into our team and, you know, all the things that we're doing. And I think with our social media is, you know, we want to make it feel like it's a club, like you're part of a family or, you know, awesome friend group, whatever it is, and that you're missing out if you're not following us or if you don't have RePaint Tray. And we've even had people say that. They're like, I finally got my RePaint Tray and now I feel like I'm part of this exclusive club. And I'm like, welcome.
It got me. I just ordered my first one and I'm really excited to try it. And I was like, I just was exactly that. I was like, I think I need to try this. Like that's what your social media is telling me. Like I am missing out if I don't get in on this. Plus I'm a total type B ADHD type painter. So I think it's going to save me.
What is a piece of advice you would give someone if they have an idea that they want to turn into a product and or start a business?
Definitely talk to people about it. I mean, it's okay to keep it a secret, you know, and work on it behind the scenes, but you also don't want to pour your heart and soul into something and then nobody buys it. I've seen that happen to other product-based companies and businesses, that they have this cool idea, but at the end of the day, nobody wants to spend the money on it. And so you have to be very open to receiving critical feedback that, hey, yeah, I wouldn't buy this, or I wouldn't buy it for this much, and not being offended by that. Do the interviews, talk to as many people as you can to get an understanding on, is this a viable product? Is there room in the market for something like this? Would people buy it? At what price point would they buy it for? Because that's really going to help you decide whether or not you do want to manufacture this and really pour the money and time and effort into something.
Knowing your audience, I feel like, is so important when you're thinking about your audience and the creative community in maybe 5 years time or 10 years time. Like, how do you see that relationship, and what do you hope for that community that you're building?
I think it's interesting that the initial group of people that I thought was going to be my audience was going to be more of the contractors, professional painters. And as I got into it, I realized that's not the space that I needed to be in, that this was not the type of product they were looking for. It wasn't until I talked to the homeowners, the stay-at-home moms that are trying to, paint a bedroom or work on DIY projects on the side, that was really the community of people that I needed to help and provide something for. But through all of that, I have had so many people reach out to me that are disabled, or even older people that have arthritis that aren't able to paint for extended periods, that they have said, oh my gosh, I love your product so much. It's made it so much easier for me to be able to go back and paint again and do something that I love doing, because I can start and stop and I'm not, totally just wrecking my body over it. And I was just like astonished by that. So I think that's been the really unique thing with this.
I have chills from hearing that, like, just knowing that that wasn't your intention necessarily, and then like that you had an opportunity to change people's experience of doing something again or doing something more easy for them is really special. Yeah. All right, it's time for one of our favorite segments, the golden moment.
This is where we ask our guests to share something that felt golden this week, not something that's perfect or polished, but something that happened that was meaningful. Maybe it was maybe something you're proud of.
And it could be a DM from someone using your tray, a small win in the business, or a moment that reminded you why you started.
Do you have a golden moment this week?
Yes, it would be on Monday when we were in the warehouse. The whole team was there. We were all packing boxes and just jamming out to music and having a good time. And I would say that was a really significant golden moment, because everybody was having fun. We loved hanging out together. And then it was really awesome watching the orders and the packages all of a sudden stack up. And all of a sudden the UPS driver comes up and he's like, oh yeah, how much do you got? And we're like, a lot. And so then he had to call a second truck to come in. And that was a really cool moment. And it just kind of reminded me of why I started, and I'm on the right path.
That's awesome. What was the song that was like getting everyone going the most? I'm always curious. Like,
it kept flowing back and forth between several people's phones, so it really depended on who was playing what. But I'm pretty sure the Pink Pony Club was played a few times.
Yes, that was the vibe I was hoping for, and what I was imagining with everyone. Just like,
well, Billie, thank you so much for being here today. Your story is truly an inspiration and a very powerful reminder that creativity doesn't just make art, it makes solutions, businesses, and an entire movement. So we're really excited to watch where RePaint Tray goes this year or in 2026. Will you tell everyone where they can buy RePaint Tray, so in case they want to buy it?
Yeah, definitely buy it right from our website. It's repaintstudios.com. Otherwise, we are available online with Lowe's and Home Depot and a select few of Ace Hardware stores as well. Otherwise, check out our social media too, so you can be part of our club. And that's RePaint Tray on Facebook and Instagram and on TikTok.
Okay, well, make sure to follow Billie and the RePaint Tray at RePaint Tray, just like Billie said, and it will definitely change your next project. Definitely give RePaint Tray a try. And don't forget to tag Zibra Painting and whatever you're working on next. We love to see your projects. We'll be back soon with more brush and banter. Until then, keep creating, keep dreaming, and don't cry over spilled paint.
Thanks so much, Billie.
Thank you,
Billie.
Thank you for listening to the Brush and Banter podcast, brought to you by Zibra. We're so grateful you're a part of the creative community. Gearing up for your next project? Head to enjoyzebra.com to grab your new favorite brushes, designed for comfort, precision, and serious creative flow. Be sure to follow Zebra Painting on Instagram for painting tips, artist features, and more. If you enjoyed our banter, subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and review. Now, go make something beautiful. We'll be here when you need a little banter.